I want you to think about a specific kind of moment. A moment where something happened. Something that hurt you, confused you, or frightened you. And when you brought it up, the response you got was, "That never happened." You're imagining things. You're too sensitive. You always exaggerate. I never said that. And over time, you started to wonder if maybe they were right. Maybe you were imagining it. Maybe your memory really was that bad. Maybe you really were too much. What you experienced has a name. It's called gaslighting. And in the next 15 minutes, I want to give you something that might feel like a lifeline. Language. Because one of the cruelest things about gaslighting is that it steals your words. It makes you doubt your own mind. And when you can't trust your own perception of reality, you can't begin to heal from what happened inside it. So today, we name it. We see it clearly. And we start to give it back. The term gaslighting comes from a 1944 film called Gaslight, where a husband manipulates his wife into believing she's going insane by secretly dimming the gas-powered lights in their home and then denying that anything has changed when she notices. Over time, she stops trusting her own perception. She becomes dependent on him to tell her what is real. That's the essence of gaslighting. It is a pattern of psychological manipulation in which someone causes another person to question their own memory, perception, and sense of reality. Now, when we talk about gaslighting in the context of parenting, something important needs to be said. Not every parent who dismisses a child's feelings is deliberately manipulating them. Some parents were themselves raised in homes where emotions were not validated. Some genuinely don't realize what they're doing. But here's what matters for your healing. Intent does not determine impact. Whether your parent meant to gaslight you or not, if the consistent message you received was that your reality was wrong, your feelings were wrong, your memory was wrong, the damage is real, and you deserve to acknowledge that. That never happened. This is the most direct form of gaslighting. You remember something clearly, a fight, a moment of humiliation, something that was said or done, and your parent flatly denies it. Not, "I remember it differently." Not, "I'm sorry if that's how it felt." But, "That never happened." When a child hears this repeatedly, something quietly breaks inside them. Because memory is how we construct our sense of self. It's how we understand what we've been through, what we've survived, what we deserve to feel. When someone you trust, someone who has authority over your entire world, tells you that what you remember isn't real, you begin to doubt the instrument you use to understand your own life. As an adult, you might find it very hard to trust your own recollection of events. You might over-explain yourself, seeking validation that what you remember is real. You might apologize for things that weren't your fault, because somewhere deep down, you're still not sure what's true. Phrase 2, you're too sensitive. This phrase does something specific. It doesn't just dismiss your feeling, it pathologizes it. It says, the problem is not what happened to you. The problem is your reaction to it. And when a child hears this enough times, They internalize it as identity. I am too sensitive. I feel things too much. My emotions are a flaw. I need to toughen up. As an adult, you might dismiss your own pain before anyone else has the chance to. You might feel embarrassed when you cry. You might catch yourself saying, "I know I'm being ridiculous," but before you've even finished expressing what you feel. Sensitivity is not a flaw. It is a capacity for depth, and it was not the problem in your home.
Phrase 3. You always exaggerate. This one targets your credibility specifically. It tells you, even when you speak, you cannot be trusted to represent reality accurately. This is particularly damaging for children because it silences them before they've even begun to speak. Why would you share something painful if you already know you'll be told you're making it worse than it is? Why would you ask for help if your description of your own experience will be challenged? You learn to keep things to yourself. You learn to minimize. You learn that your version of events is never quite right. And then you wonder, as an adult, why it's so hard to speak up. Why you apologize before you've even made your point. Why you shrink your needs down to almost nothing before you allow yourself to ask. Phrase 4. I did that because I love you. This one is perhaps the most confusing of all, because it conflates love with harm. It says the thing that hurt you, the criticism, the control, the emotional withdrawal, came from love. So if love looks like this, what does that teach you about love? It teaches you that love and pain go together, that love requires sacrifice of self, that love means accepting treatment that diminishes you, because at least someone cares enough to be there. As an adult, you may find yourself drawn to relationships that feel familiar in an uncomfortable way, where intensity and pain feel like proof of love, where calm, consistent affection feels strange, almost boring, almost untrustworthy, because your nervous system learned early that love comes with conditions, and sometimes with wounds.
So what do you do with all of this? First, and I want to say this as clearly as I can, your memory is not broken. The uncertainty you feel, the constant second guessing, the reflexive, maybe I'm wrong, that is a learned response. It was trained into you by repeated exposure to someone who needed you to doubt yourself. Your perception of your own life is valid. What you remember happened. What you felt was real. What you experienced mattered. Second, recognize that reclaiming your reality doesn't require anyone else's agreement. One of the most painful parts of healing from gaslighting is the longing for the person who hurt you to finally say, "Yes, that happened. I'm sorry." That validation may never come. But here is something important. You don't need it. Your truth does not require their signature. You are allowed to know what happened to you without anyone else confirming it. You are allowed to grieve what you lost without a witness who was there. You are allowed to heal from something that no one else will ever fully acknowledge. That is not weakness. That is one of the bravest things a person can do. Third, start noticing the voice. The one inside you that says, "You're imagining it. You're overreacting. You're too much." That voice is not your voice. It was borrowed. from someone who needed you to be small, manageable, easy. You don't have to keep it. Part of healing is learning to hear that voice and gently, firmly say, "That's not mine anymore."
3 things to carry with you from today. First, gaslighting doesn't have to be intentional to be harmful. If you were consistently told that your reality, your memory, or your feelings were wrong, that is gaslighting. And it caused real damage. Second, the self-doubt you carry as an adult is a direct inheritance from that environment. It is not the truth about who you are. Third, reclaiming your reality is possible, and it doesn't require the person who took it from you to hand it back. We are 4 episodes in now, and I want to acknowledge something. This work is not easy. Listening to this, really listening, takes courage. If you've stayed with this series, it tells me something about you. You want to understand yourself. You want something different. You are willing to look at hard things in service of something better. That matters. Keep going. In our next episode, we shift to something that lives at the very center of this series: conditional love. We touched on it today, the idea that love came with strings, with conditions, with a price tag you spent years trying to pay. In episode 5, we go deep. We look at exactly how conditional love shapes the way you see yourself, the way you show up in relationships, and most importantly, what it means to start receiving love differently. Not performing for it, not earning it, just receiving it. That might sound simple. For many of us, it is one of the hardest things in the world. I'll see you there. Be gentle with yourself today.